So, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We want to give it just a few minutes. We have attendees that are coming in now. We want to be respectful of everybody's time and start. So we're going to give it just a few minutes for a few more attendees to tune in. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. We are so elated for you to join us for a year in review with Cincinnati Preschool Promise. For all of you that are joining in, thank you for taking the time just to spend with us as we share with only our providers that made this year 2020 to 2021 a success. We are so excited about all the things that we have done, actually that the work that you have done to make this year in review a great success. So you will actually be hearing from our executive director, also our partner that did our evaluation, our year 4 evaluation, Dr. Hendert, who will actually go through all of the information from the various focus groups that you and your families have actually joined into. So I just want to talk about what our mission was. Our mission here at Cincinnati Preschool Promise is to ensure that every child in the city of Cincinnati has access to high quality education. And this is the year that we feel that we have done that, especially in our pandemic realm. Not only that, this evening, we customized this year in review just for you. Now, just before we move forward, I want to let you know that we will have an opportunity for questions and answers that you may have for our team as well as the innovations team. So take the opportunity to write those questions inside your chat box. We will get to those after each of those segments. We want to make sure that you are heard, and we want to make sure that we will be on track for our last year for our first, yes, I said our first opportunity of our initiative of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise, due to the fact that our levy was passed. So then we'll merge on to our year it'll be year 6 that we'll be able to merge on. So once again, please take the opportunity to ask questions. If you don't remember, just put it in the chat box and we'll make sure that our program and evaluation manager will get back with you and be able to respond to on air. If we're unable to answer on air and we have to get back with you, trust me, you know that we will. So without further ado, I will actually turn it over to our Executive Director and CEO, Shara Fisher-Jackson. So Shara, take it away as we celebrate our annual review on our year 4 evaluation for 2020-2021.
So thank you so much, Lakeisha, and thank you all for joining us for this year in review. And we are so happy that you are a part of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise Network. Just to remind everybody of what our mission is, what we really do is make sure there is equitable access to high quality preschool, because our goal is to make sure that every Cincinnati child is prepared for kindergarten. You will see the vision statement as well that walks through all of the essential parts of that to make sure that high quality education is something that is ongoing. It just starts in preschool. It is throughout a child's educational experience. We look and measure that at preschool progress, kindergarten readiness, 3rd grade reading, but also high school and attainment, because we know that children who show up kindergarten ready based on a high quality preschool experience will have the best opportunity to thrive. So we hope that you all got your hard copy of our 2020-2021 annual report, right? In this report, we highlight our ABCs of the Preschool Promise, of how we provide access to make high quality preschools affordable. This year, community providers, all of you, served 760 students and 601 were served in CPS preschool classrooms. We created 385 quality seats in the system by building those partnerships with providers to increase high quality programs, and contributed to an equitable early childhood program community by Teacher Promise grants and our staff support fund. On the next slide, we are highlighting specific portions of the report, and we want to go through this kind of quickly because we know that you all had an opportunity to read it. And also to remind everyone, there is a digital copy of your annual report available on our website. That digital copy, when you click on the actual pictures and stories, you'll be able to hear the voices of parents and the voices of providers telling their story and experience with the Preschool Promise, and hyperlinks to the details of the report. This is a snapshot of our tuition assistance. We did not only this year, 2020, 2021, but life cycle. So what's happened since the levy was passed, and you can see more than 6,000 preschoolers have benefited from tuition assistance. What you will also see is the number of preschools that are participating has steadily increased. We were up to 115 community provider preschools this year. And also you'll see the average cost reached an all-time high of $6,600 per preschool student, which we were able to provide tuition assistance. You'll also see the story of one of our Preschool Promise parents, Miss Marie Hudson, with her son. On the next slide, you'll also see our progress this year on quality improvement, and a quote from one of our providers. The total coaching hours is 10,880. And so I will say congratulations and thank you for all of the hard work that each and every one of you put in working with our coaches. 146 providers were in coaching, and you will see also on this chart the STAR movement, how many people reached high quality and the number of seats that were created in the system. Our goal is to maximize the number of high quality seats that are available, because we know not only the Preschool Promise children who receive tuition assistance benefit from those, but all children benefit from the opportunity to attend a high quality preschool. You'll also see on the next slide what we've done in the early childhood education workforce. So you see a snapshot of our Teacher Promise grants and our staff support funds, but you'll also notice a sharp increase in spending that we've done, which is direct dollars from our levy that go to supporting early childhood educators in the workforce. This is the best year that we've had to date, and we are really focused on recruitment, retention, wage parity, and wage equity in the workforce. Again, these are just a snapshot of many of the things that you'll see in the full annual report. Also, you'll see a snapshot of all of this Preschool Promise team. Each one of our program managers, our senior administrative assistant, our finance director. You'll see headshots for everybody in here. So make sure that you take a look at that. And a new feature that we added this year, because we thought it was so important to recognize the entire network, is every provider that was a part of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise network as of June 30th will see your name listed in our annual report. So we highlight you as well. So with that, I will turn it now to Dr. Kalana Hindert, who is leading the innovations team in our year 4 evaluation, to go over with you the 3 reports that they prepared for us. One that's focused on overall evaluation of our outputs, our effectiveness, and our operations. One that is focused on qualitative results and really the opinions and ideas that people had about the Preschool Promise. And lastly, a deep dive into teacher and early childhood education workforce, what they're seeing, not only in Cincinnati, but across the country, and some opportunities for us to address the challenges. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Dr. Hindert.
Thank you so much, Shara. Just to get right into it, I want to talk first about early literacy readiness. In years past, you have seen this presented as kindergarten readiness. The difference this year is that Cincinnati Public Schools administered a new assessment called the Acadience Reading Assessment, also was formerly known as Dibble's Next. So the focus this year was on early literacy, and this is not a kindergarten readiness assessment. There's no correlation between this assessment and previous assessments. But what we can say continues to exist is that CPP students outperformed non-CPP students on this assessment. So here we'll just take a look at the overall impact of results from these cohorts. First, I want to talk a little bit about the 2 groups that we looked at. So we looked at a sample of 665 CPP kindergartners that had previously attended CPP tuition assistance preschools. And then we compared their performance to a cohort of kindergartners who had no documented previous preschool. And then the differences between a cohort are just few. The CPP cohort had a slightly higher percent of Black students. The non-CPP cohort had a slightly higher percentage of students in SES 4. I'll talk a little bit about what SES 4 means here in a bit. But overall, when we look at the outcomes, CPPTA students outperformed those who had not participated in CPP by 51.4% to 50.1%. And this is in reference to the number of the kids being at or above the benchmark for this assessment. We also took a look at this assessment and performance by race. And here you will see that students across different races, Black students, Hispanic students, as well as multiracial and other identifying students, all increased their performance when they are in the CPP cohort. And you can see the biggest difference there in the multiracial cohort. And I mentioned earlier SES quartiles. So what that is, there is a measure called the American Community Survey. And there are several risk factors that are used to rank neighborhoods. Some of these factors include things like the median family income, SNAP eligibility rate, unemployment rate in different neighborhoods. So it's important to remember that the quartiles are based on the general makeup of the neighborhoods, not necessarily the individual child. But it's a way that we can kind of talk about what's going on in neighborhoods in terms of socioeconomic status. So when we looked at performance within each of these SES quartiles, we found really a big difference in SES 1, and these would be the kids with the greatest need. So there was a 23.4 percentage point difference in performance. So, the benefit of CPP tuition assistance programs really came through as children went on to kindergarten and started to be assessed. We also took a look at this performance by preschool attendance. So we separated the performance based on whether children had attended 90% or more of the days that they were scheduled in preschool. And we found a significant difference. So those who attended more were at benchmark 58.3% of the time. Those who did not meet that attendance standard only met that standard 47.2% of the time. And we also took a look at the reading scores by pandemic site status. So there were 45 providers that were granted a license by ODJFS to provide in-classroom services, for those families of direct service providers during the dates of March 23rd of last year to July 1st. So when we looked at preschoolers who went and were able to get more of that continuous year-round learning, we found that they performed better. 56.8% met that standard versus those who did not attend those sites, who had more interruption in their learning. That was a difference of about 14.1 percentage points. So I'm going to pause here just to see if anyone had questions on this section. Okay, I'll move on. Next, we're going to talk about preschooler progress. So this is something we're really excited about. This was a new measure this year. We took a look at two of the most popular and available preschool assessments, the ELA and the TS Gold. And these were widely available amongst community preschools as well as CPS and Head Start providers. And they measured many of the same domains. So what we did is looked at whether there was progress for students between their fall assessments to their spring assessments. So we do have a couple years of data to look at. We have 2019 to 20. We're happy to show that this year. We didn't have it available last year, but we saw that preschoolers made that progress at high frequency among 4 of the domains. So you can see socio-emotional was really a strong impact. Physical was something else we were really interested in. The language and literacy we had seen measured with some other assessments, and then math as well. Especially notable with all the disruption from the pandemic, that socio-emotional was one of those domains that preschoolers were benefiting from. And then if we look at the progress in this past academic year, we see the same domains essentially and strong performance again from fall to spring in all of these domains. Pause here. Any questions on preschooler progress? Okay, I will move on to our last section here. And this is talking about parent satisfaction. We did many surveys and focus groups, some interviews with all stakeholders, including many of you, and thank you if you participated in any of our engagement efforts. But here I just want to focus on what parents said about their experience. So this chart looks at parents who attended tuition assistance providers and their satisfaction, and just off the chart satisfaction in all of these areas. I mean, it's rare to see 90% consistently, but they're just very happy with the options, the application process, the communication from you all, and the tuition assistance itself. We also wanted to take a look at satisfaction with a variety of stakeholders, teachers, providers, and parents as well, to gauge your satisfaction with communication from CPP. Again, we see very strong ratings across the board, especially from parents. And here we're just taking a look at the impact of tuition assistance on families. I always think this is really powerful to understand. Nearly 50% of parents said they could not have afforded the cost of preschool. So, I mean, 50% of families probably wouldn't have participated, but for Cincinnati Preschool Promise and tuition assistance. And then another over a quarter could have only afforded some of the tuition. So again, just a really powerful impact of providing access to high quality preschool for families. And then we have some recommendations here. Some of these recommendations just encourage CPP to continue doing a lot of what they're already doing very well. A couple of these suggestions are about reaching out to prospective parents and prospective providers. Those are parents and providers in the footprint who are not yet enrolled their children in preschool or who have not connected with the CPP network. Again, assisting you all with preschool enrollment changes and just reaching as many preschoolers as possible. Some of the recommendations for policy considerations, just continuing to support you all during uncertainty. A big conversation I think everyone is having is about considering kindergarten readiness to go beyond just academic preparedness. And you all know as providers that it's important that the whole child is ready to attend. So in looking at some of these preschool assessments this year, that's another step to look at some other domains outside of academic for preparedness. And then to extend the learning time to prevent learning loss. You know, we saw with greater attendance and then more continuous year-round attendance that children perform better when they went to kindergarten. So we want to encourage that. And then also advocate for living wages for teachers and providers across the board. So any questions on anything? So this is the last segment. So any questions on anything that I presented?
I would just like to add that there is almost 300 pages of evaluation results, and those will be posted on the website. So this is not everybody's only opportunity to post questions or do a deep dive. We welcome questions at any time. These will be available on our website, and you always have contact with any member of the CPP team, not only to ask questions, but to make your recommendations of things that you'd like to see in the evaluation going forward. So I think on the final slide that we have, thank you, Dr. Hendren and your team as well. I know that you will be getting started soon with the year 5 evaluation. So to give everybody a preview that we will be walking through a similar process again. You'll be hearing from the innovations team again, and what is very unique about this upcoming year is it will be the first time at the end of this year to look at students who are now in 3rd grade who had the first access to Cincinnati Preschool Promise tuition assistance. So we will be looking at that. So now is our time for really to have interactive discussion where we'd really like to hear from you. And that is as one of the most important parts of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise Network, the people that are on the front lines every day, supporting families and children and making sure that that kindergarten readiness happens. We'd really like to hear from you around these particular questions on how we can work together to expand access for families, how we improve kindergarten readiness, how do we reach and maintain high quality on Ohio's Step Up to Quality system, how we work together to support recruitment, retention, and wage parity for everyone in the early childhood education workforce, and how we continue to address the COVID-19 challenges that we hope are waning, but know still exist and may for some time in the early childhood education system. And also to hear from you, if you had a magic ball, right, and a wish to say, what's one system change that will have the greatest impact on the work that you do? And not to be limited by anything, not what can we achieve, what could happen, what do we have the capacity to do, but if you could say one thing that the Preschool Promise could do that would have the greatest impact, we would love to know that. So we have some time now that we can open it up for anybody that wants to put a question or a comment in the chat to acknowledge you. We also will be, similar to last year, sending out a survey that will ask you in detail each one of these questions and give you an opportunity to respond as well. But as we go through the recommendations and recognizing people, I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work and effort and well of Kenitra Mathis, who is our director for programs and evaluation, who led the compilation of all this information and distilling and reporting it to you with innovations. And so I see that we do have some questions and some comments in the chat.
All right, we do have a response from Rob and Brandy. Would you like to elaborate more on your response?
Hello, Miss Brandy, you are unmuted now. I think we can hear you.
Let's see. The suggestion from Rob and Brandy was to assist with the pipeline of teachers. I know that's something that we are currently looking for more solutions and resources. So that is something that CPP will continue to work on and continue to try to find solutions for, Ms. Robin. If there's anything else you would like to add to that, I believe you are unmuted.
Because we have a little bit of time, we're happy to also share the work that our cost of quality committee is doing in terms of immediate, short-term, midterm, long-term strategies to address teacher pipeline. One is that we are partnering with CPS in their career tech program, in which they have students who are in the CDA program who are looking for placements with community providers. For those students, we are working with Cincinnati State University, who will be having a job fair on November 2nd, and looking for community provider sites to place students who are also in work, study, and completing their CDA program and other early childhood education programs. And as long-term, we are working with several different organizations, including the United Way and the group that they have convened to say, how do we make sure we can get people in the pipeline, not only for immediate hire, but long-term for people that are working on not only credentials, but bachelor's degrees and master's degrees for the next generation of early childhood educators. Also to remind everyone that 4C for Children continues to maintain their job board, and that we welcome any ideas and suggestions that you may have on what we can do to support the recruitment and retention of the teachers that you have. We will continue with the staff support funds being available at $3,000 for each lead teacher for those that are in quality improvement. We will also be continuing the Teacher Promise Grant for up to $4,000 for each lead teacher for our providers who are in a tuition assistance program. And I just see a reminder in the chat again of the fair that I mentioned, the job fair that will be happening at Cincinnati State University on November 2nd. Hopefully you all received an individual invitation to that, that Cincinnati State extended to be involved with that opportunity as well. And if you didn't, just let us know. We'll be happy to send that out to you. So thank you for your question, Ms. Brandy. So while we may not have any additional questions, I would like to invite the members of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise team, if you would like to introduce yourselves. I know that you are familiar with Ms. Lakisa Ely, who is always our fantastic moderator for all of our events, and she's our public relations and marketing manager. You have heard from Kenitra Mathis, who is our program and evaluation manager as well. I invite the other members of the Cincinnati Preschool Promise team to introduce yourselves as well.
Hi, I'm Tanya. So I'm the person most likely to give you a call about something important that we have going on, like our new classes that we have, business classes. And you're probably the first person that you reach when you call our main number too as well.
Hello, my name is Florence Malone. I am the Outreach and Enrollment Manager for the Cincinnati Preschool Promise program. If you are in the tuition assistance portion of the program, most of you all are familiar with me.
While we're also waiting, I thought I was messaging everyone, but I was actually just messaging the team. If, as a provider, regardless of quality improvement or in the tuition assistance programs, if you have not received the digital or print copy, please let me know so I can make sure that you have the information in front of you. We want to make sure that you are equipped with all the information that has been gathered and also the work to be able for your work to be shown to the community as well as to the families in which you serve. So if you don't know my email, it is L as in love, E as in eagle, A as in apple, L as in love, Y as in yo-yo at cincy-promise.org. I will make sure that I will mail you out a copy just for you with your personalized name on it. All righty. So it seems like no one else wants to ask a question. And we know that you have been working very diligent through the day to take care of our youngest learners. We want to say thank you. And to our new tuition assistants or our new quality improvement providers, we want to welcome you to this new year for us to finish up our last year in our levy season before we start our second year, levy 5-year program. So once again, we say thank you for joining us in the 2020-2021 year in review, as well as our year 4 evaluations. If you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to give us a call. If you feel comfortable with the person that you work closely with in your program, please reach out to them, as well as Shara Fisher-Jackson, our executive director. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to a prosperous new year of serving the city of Cincinnati with our children. Thank you and have a great day.